They came into WWE like wolves, united, dangerous, and unstoppable. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose. Together they were the Shield, a brotherhood built on trust, dominance, and destruction. But in WWE, loyalty never lasts forever. What started as unbreakable friendship turned into shocking betrayal, heartbreak, and bitter rivalry. This is the full story of the Shield. How three brothers rose to power, and how one act of betrayal tore them apart forever. 8-inch in November 2012, the WWE Universe witnessed something unforgettable. During the main event of Survivor Series, three men dressed in black stormed the ring. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose. Calling themselves the Shield, they attacked Ryback, saving CM Punk's WWE Championship. From that night, the Shield became a force of chaos. They called themselves the Hounds of Justice, taking out anyone who stood in their way. John Cena, The Undertaker, The Rock, even legends and champions. They were brothers in arms, fighting for dominance. The Shield was more than a faction. It was family. Roman Reigns was the powerhouse, Seth Rollins the architect and strategist, Dean Ambrose the wild card and lunatic. Together, they destroyed everyone. They held championships, dominated the Authority, and defeated teams like Evolution, the Wyatt family, and even legends. Fans loved their chemistry. Three men, three different personalities, one unbreakable bond. They said it themselves, believe in the Shield. But in WWE, nothing lasts forever. As months passed, the brothers started showing cracks. Seth Rollins wanted to prove he was the brains of the operation. Dean Ambrose's wild nature caused tension. Roman Reigns was becoming a breakout star, the future face of the company. The Authority, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, saw this weakness and looked for a way to break the Shield from within. On June 2, 2014, the world witnessed one of the most shocking betrayals in WWE history. The Shield had just defeated Evolution, standing tall as a dominant brotherhood. But the next night on Raw, everything changed. Seth Rollins, the architect, grabbed a steel chair and brutally attacked Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. The crowd was stunned. Commentators were speechless. In one single moment, Rollins destroyed the Brotherhood and joined the Authority. The Shield was dead. The brothers were now enemies. After the betrayal, the war truly began. Dean Ambrose was the first to strike. For him, it wasn't about championships, it wasn't about glory. It was personal. He called Seth Rollins a traitor, a snake, a brother who had stabbed his own family in the back. Every time Dean looked at Rollins, he didn't just see an opponent, he saw betrayal. And he went after him with pure hatred. Street fights, ladder matches, even inside hell in a cell. Ambrose wanted to destroy Seth Rollins piece by piece. Roman Reigns, too, carried the same fire. To him, the Shield was not just a team. It was blood, it was family. When Rollins shattered that trust, Roman's revenge was inevitable. He hunted Seth in every match they had, driving spears through him, reminding him that breaking the Shield would come with a heavy price. But Seth Rollins was not the same man anymore. Backed by the Authority, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and Kane, he rose higher than ever before. Protected, guided, and pushed forward, Rollins achieved what the Shield had once dreamed of together. He became WWE Champion. But now, he held that title alone. And so the lines were drawn. Seth Rollins, the so-called architect of the Shield, now the face of betrayal, standing at the top of the mountain. Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, once his brothers, now his greatest enemies. Every match between them carried more than titles. It carried the weight of broken brotherhood, of trust shattered, of war that seemed endless. For years, this rivalry defined WWE. Rollins' arrogance, Ambrose's chaos, and Roman's power collided again and again, leaving fans on the edge of their seats. The Shield was no more. In its place stood three warriors locked in a bitter, personal war. And nothing in WWE would ever be the same again. Years passed, and the WWE Universe never stopped asking the question, would the Shield ever reunite? For so long, fans held on to hope. They remembered the days when Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose dominated the entire company as brothers. And finally, in 2017, that hope became reality. The unthinkable happened. The brothers put aside their differences, their betrayals, their scars, and came back together. When the Shield walked down through the crowd once again, the sound inside the arena was deafening. Black vests, fists raised. The hounds of justice were back. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed. The magic, the brotherhood, the chaos, it was all there. Together, they fought against common enemies, reminding the world why the Shield was one of the most dominant factions in WWE history. But just when it seemed like this brotherhood had been reborn, tragedy struck. In 2018, Roman Reigns stood in the ring and revealed that his battle with leukemia had returned. The WWE Universe was stunned. His brothers were devastated. Roman stepped away from WWE, and the Shield was left shattered once again. Dean Ambrose tried to carry the fight, but behind the scenes, frustration grew. Creative struggles, injuries, and disappointment with WWE's direction pushed him further away. Eventually, Ambrose walked out of the company he had given everything to and re-emerged in AEW as Jon Moxley, forging his own path far away from his Shield brothers. Seth Rollins remained behind, the so-called architect of WWE, winning championships and carrying the company on his back. But even with all his success, one thing was certain. The bond of the Shield was never the same again. They had reunited. They had fought side by side one last time. But destiny had other plans. The Shield was no longer a brotherhood of three. It had become a story of what once was and what could never truly be again. The Shield story is not just wrestling. It's a saga of love, betrayal, and war. They began as brothers. Three hungry warriors, united by trust, walking through the crowd with one mission: justice. Together, they destroyed legends, conquered giants, and dominated the WWE like no one had ever seen before. But in WWE, trust is fragile. Greed, ambition, and the lust for power tore them apart. And when Seth Rollins swung that steel chair on his brothers, everything changed forever. He will always be remembered as the man who betrayed the Shield, the architect who chose power over loyalty. Roman Reigns, once the powerhouse of the group, carved his own destiny. He battled through pain, betrayal, and even leukemia, but he rose above it all to become the tribal chief, the face of WWE, and one of the most dominant champions of this generation. Dean Ambrose, the unpredictable wild card, chose freedom. He walked away from WWE, leaving behind the Shield and the system that created him. Reborn as Jon Moxley in AEW, he became a rebel, a fighter, and a symbol of defiance. And yet, no matter where life took them, their bond could never be erased. Together, they changed the game. They redefined brotherhood. They redefined dominance. And they redefined what it meant to leave a legacy in WWE. Separately, they became legends, each man carrying a piece of the Shield in his soul, each man carving a path that will never be forgotten. The Shield was more than a faction. It was a brotherhood, and their story will live forever. The story of Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose proves one thing: brotherhood in WWE is never permanent. They came as brothers, they fought as warriors, but in the end, betrayal turned family into enemies. But no matter where their paths go, whether it's WWE or AEW, the world will always remember the Shield, because some bonds may break, but they can never be forgotten. So, what do you think? Was Seth Rollins right to betray his brothers? Or should the Shield have stayed together forever? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold wrestling stories.